prison in the north, Tonraq and Lord Zuko prepare for Zahir's imminent attack.
I know Zuko's not technically the Fire Lord right now, he doesn't fill that position, but Lord Zuko kinda hits my ear weirder than Air Nation ever did. What is this dude Lord of if he's not the Fire Lord anyway? Seems like a misnomer in the effort to still give Zuko a respectable title, like Chief or King. So wait, you guys came down here to just talk shit last episode? You're not setting up your defenses closer to the actual cage she's kept in this cool ice cavern where there's interesting terrain and surroundings to use in a fight? Man, if you say so.
That's not a snowstorm. That's him.
Oh, fuck, man. This bending looks so funny. If there wasn't so much going on screen in front of him, I might have gotten a rotoscope done and done something with this, too. Interesting that Zahir was the only one making the snowstorm. Seems like Minghua could have been instrumental in that, too, no?
I put you away once, Zahir.
Zuko and Eska and Desna all seem to just keep running forward, so you'd think they'd be going after Minghua, but Minghua's definitely right behind Zahir. So what, they're going for the truck? Not impossible, but definitely not the biggest threat in their immediate vicinity. Okay, they're just earthbending now, dude, like, right? Okay, Minghua's display here is really cool, especially the drill part to get through the ground, but I'm just saying, that was a long elevator ride. They were in there for a while. That's a lot of ice and ground to get through. Anyway, sure was lucky that she didn't decide to execute the heads of state here like she did with his White Lotus member and left them a way to breathe, especially when their team's main goal is to execute the heads of state. Kinda weird that they just bounced from this interaction considering their end goals and that all four of them are free now. Listen, man, I don't claim to know how this interaction would work, but would it work like this? You ever think, like, why do the combustion benders need this forehead tattoo? Like, why? Is it just an aesthetic thing they like? Surely it doesn't actually have anything to do with their bending ability. With Combustion Man alone, you could set it aside, like, oh, that's just a thing that one guy did, but now we're 2 for 2. 2 combustion benders, 2 forehead tattoos with similar details. Hard to imagine there's some unspoken culture to them, since they're so inconceivably rare. Also, do you think if the Avatar was a combustion bender and they had a forehead tattoo, that tattoo would light up too?
We could have just taken the elevator.
Yeah, why? What are you doing? A great decision they made with combustion bending is that whenever it happens, the music stops and you hear these little pops before the big explosion. It's very cool sound design. The sharp little snaps make this giant explosion sound and feel much bigger. It's like when you're watching a war movie and you can hear the bullets whizzing past your ear. That can sometimes make the danger feel closer, more intimate than something big and loud happening. But I feel like they kind of lost the perfect sound design of combustion bending even before Airbender closed out. In that first episode of Airbender, where Combustion Man fights the gang, there was something really sharp and snappy about those sounds that I feel in later episodes and in Korra is lost somehow. See, Zuko wears gloves in the Arctic. Everyone's like, oh, it makes sense they wear fingerless gloves because they're firebenders. They might burn the gloves. Get out of here, man. Zuko performs the very oft unseen maneuver of the fire dodge here, where he firebends for no reason and then just steps to the side to avoid the attack. The fight overall is pretty alright. All of the good guys seem to get knocked over a little too easily for my taste. Like, this is Zuko, man. He just gets sat on his ass in like 5 seconds. Having something to hit with combustion bending is cool because a lot like Mei's knives or Sokka's sword, it's one of those things that is extremely limited by the children's show medium. You can't have Sokka gut someone with a sword or someone blow a person apart with combustion bending. I don't think you're ever gonna see a heavily recurring good guy with combustion bending in this universe for just that reason. So it actually hitting the dragon and being effective is a welcome part of the episode. A dragon seems tanky enough to take a hit like that in my head.
Really? Right now?
Why not? Minghua doesn't care. Fucking prude.
I got him! These passports should get you into the upper ring.
How did you open that door? Look at this. It just flies open. What the hell? Are you a door bender? It's the opposite of Katara.
You're the best cousin a guy could have!
You're his uncle. Come on.
And two, and Meng Meng, and Chow Jr., and there he is, Big T, and Little T, and Medium U.
Okay, Medium U is genuinely funny.
I know that Earth Queen is lying to me!
Yeah, better get all this kickboxing training in for all of the physical fighting you do.
Slept in trash pile, met our family, grandma tears, Mako scarf, Earth Queen, lying.
How does Bolin know that the Earth Queen lied to Korra? In the sense that how does Bolin have any idea how that conversation went? They were already gone on their little adventure when Korra was talking to the Earth Queen.
Is there an animal in my presence?
No, your Majesty, I would never allow an animal near you.
How did you get away? Blood bending.
Those people should not be forced to join an army.
Well, technically, the Earth Queen has a right to conscript her citizens.
Should have been briefed about this.
We just need to figure out where to look.
I bet they're under Lake Laogai. What? I've been reading some of Jinora's books.
Wow, they pulled Lake Laogai back out of thin air almost as hard as Sokka pulled Jet's brainwashing, which then led them to Lake Laogai.
I know how to check it out without being caught. I can project my spirit into it.
You can what?
It's not as powerful as it was during harmonic convergence.
What do you mean less powerful? You can't cast Holy Nova anymore? Hold on, I'm gonna wait for another line to bitch about this in its entirety.
You will become the Earth Queen's elite fighting force and protect her at all cost. It is your duty to serve the Earth Queen.
This is kind of interesting. This airbending training session is set up a lot like how Aang's brief earthbending lesson under Master Yu went, just people lined up and throwing things at each other. Which would make a lot of sense, the Dai Li trying to train airbenders up in a way they'd be familiar and learning in. Pretty cool. Also, this lady does some waterbending shit and throws a breeze back at her opponent.
I'm not that good.
Never show mercy. Now attack your opponent, and this time, like you mean it.
This time I will do an open hand strike, making it stronger. Hey, it's that one lonely, solitary island that the gang regrouped on after reuniting with Appa. They're on the exact same beach. Lake Laogai being totally submerged isn't surprising, but using some of the same shots from Airbender as Jinora explores it is a pretty nice touch. Surely this is just some unfortunately placed growing plant life and not the rock that, you know...
How did you find me during harmonic convergence?
I don't know. I just kind of focused on your energy.
The writers are like, yeah, man, I don't know. Alright, these two I get. They're trying to block it. But guy number 3 here? Come on, man. Oh god, they've gotten even better at this move. It went from just bluntly trapping a person or body part to deftly curving around anatomy. This might be a contender for the most exact bending move. Yeah, but then again... Fucking hell, lucky Jinora didn't do this 30 seconds ago in front of everyone.
How are you here right now? Shh, quiet. It's a high-level airbender move.
It's what? No, it isn't. Tying this to airbending is so dumb. This is a high-level Jinora move, or someone that's very spiritual. This has nothing to do with airbending whatsoever. And some people do list this as like airbending's other thing, like metal bending or blood bending. This is Jinora throwing her spirit out there. I have no idea what this has to do with airbending, so this line has always bothered me. Were the airbenders very spiritual people? Sure, yeah. Does that make this airbending? No. Second, this re-breaks a rule. As we've established, you can't see a human spirit detached from its body in the physical world, but I guess Jinora is just so sick at it that she can be seen. Thirdly, how are you blushing right now? Do you have blood? You're a spirit. Well, then again, if you watch closely here, Aang does the same thing, so...
I can't believe Miss Queenie Smugface had them right under our noses the whole time.
Good one, Korra. Queenie Smugface. Holy Christ, what a zinger.
Then all we'll need is 12 tons of blasting jelly, a medium-sized bulldozer, and does anyone have a badger mole that knows Morse code?
I'm starting to think I should just load up one of the myriad green screen weapons I have that I fire at Milo for being annoying whenever Boomy starts up with one of these high-flying, idiotic tangents.
Lin?
You're telling me this season has Tenzin and Lin?
Who's Zahir? Why is my life in danger?
Shortly after we found out you were the Avatar, Zahir and 3 others attempted to kidnap you.
It's interesting that Korra's identity wasn't kept a close secret, right? If we think back to Season 1, there's that moment where she announces herself as the Avatar, but you kind of get the feeling that that's her moment of announcing herself as acting Avatar, like she was going to be playing a role in the world from there on out. And Lin knew who she was too, despite being estranged from Tenzin for years at that point and not having any affiliation with the White Lotus. So it seems like Korra's identity as the Avatar wasn't kept on a need-to-know basis very much, which is odd considering, as the White Lotus put it, Aang instructed them to find a successor and train and protect them until they were ready to fulfill their role. I'm just saying, I think a key part of that would have probably been keeping the identity of the very young Avatar a very close secret, like we have seen time and time again with past Avatars, but it seems like they didn't, so much so that an attempt could be made on Korra's life, quote, shortly after they found out she was the Avatar. The White Lotus seems wholly incompetent in this series. What, did they go screaming it from the rooftops?
Luckily, your father, Lord Zuko, Chief Sokka, and I were there to stop them.
Yeah, I made a mistake. I said that maybe Sokka actually died here in this court scene, since we never hear of or from him again, but Tenzin mentioned Sokka's involvement in protecting Korra here, so I was wrong.
So that's why you and my dad sheltered me away.
Korra reasons that this is the reason that she was kept away from the world for most of her life, and while I can see the logic behind that from her angle, it still seems pretty tenuous at best. I'm not sure why Tonraq or Tenzin wouldn't have explained that to her last season when she was blowing up at them. I'm not sure why they wouldn't have informed her about a potential organization trying to snuff her when she finally did enter the world. This reasoning seems pretty written in, if you get what I'm saying.
Korra, you don't don't understand. These criminals are like nothing you've ever faced before.
Like nothing she's ever faced before? Hello?
You don't need to protect me. I came here for one thing, to find airbenders, and I'm not leaving without them.
I like how driven Korra feels in this season. In season 1, it felt more hot-headed and blindly trying to show her strength to both her enemies and the people she wanted to impress around her. In season 2, her brain fell out for half of it, and when she had it reinstalled, the vibe was more panicking to do whatever she could to avert the disaster she first enabled, and was eventually forced to basically cause. In season 3, we finally have an avatar that seems to have their shit together, which is cool, even in the face of Airbender. And I mentioned this in the comics as well. In all of Airbender, Aang is on the back foot. He's being hunted, and even when he gets to be very formidable, he's still never enough to be ready to fight the Fire Lord. We never get to see a fully realized acting avatar with their head on straight filling their role, until the comics, but more importantly since it's animated now. Korra is meaningfully driven. Her brash attitude isn't self-serving, it's serving her role as the avatar, and I think that's a meaningful and interesting difference to tackle this season with. It's not, I can do this because I'm the avatar, it's, I'm going to, I need to, because I'm the avatar. Right after I get done praising the show, you're gonna pull this on me, huh? Maybe it's just my version of the episode that I have, but there's this weird motion blur effect on this shot. I don't know, I didn't add this. Once again, a very similar shot to when the gang infiltrated Lake Laogai, and if you think about it, both missions are to save an airbender/airbenders from the clutches of the Dai Li.
You three find Kai. We'll meet on the surface shortly. Radio us if anything goes wrong.
You might think portable radios are a bit anachronistic here, considering the setting, but much like how I was surprised how early night vision was invented, I'm surprised once again here too. Walkie-talkies were invented in 1937, so while it seems a little too early in this universe for that kind of tech, it's much more reasonable than I thought.
What's going on?
Alright, I'm already sick of this dude. It feels so lazy to write a feeble, passive, nervous character with a nervous stutter at the start of every sentence. It's like, come on guys, your team is made up of stronger writers than that.
We're going to get you away from the Earth Queen and out of the city.
They also seem to be children now, or very short. No, never mind, they're good.
There's an airbender that's not here. His name is Kai.
It's nice that the nervous guy looks out for Kai after Kai tried to give him an easy time, though. Nice beat.
Topside, this is Papa Bear. The breezies are in the hold. Cue the balloons.
This is your last warning. Is Oogie in on the plan, too? I'm trying to think of a moment where Appa played a role on a plan without being piloted to do so, or being summoned to help with the bison whistle. Like one where a plan was set out and he executed his role without any instruction or controls. I can't think of one, and like this isn't much, it's just Oogie joining the leaving airships, but without her master Tenzin. It does seem a bit strange.
Come on. We're getting you out.
Kai! I'm really sorry about stealing your wallets.
Oh, we can't stay mad at you.
Yes, we can. I had a lot of money in that wallet.
Funny Mako line 1. Wow, I can't believe we finally made it.
Deserting Her Majesty's army is high treason.
What's wrong with your hat? Did a chicken fly over?
So you've discovered my elite army.
Elite? Ah, Tenzin, get in on this. He's got to be like, oh yeah, these are my people. Ugh, thank God they don't do that much. That didn't look good. This fight makes me think back. Sometimes I wish we could find more interesting settings for action scenes, you know? A hallway made of earth opens up avenues for earthbenders, but I still find that a lot of fight arenas can feel a bit samey. Like, remember when I was like, oh wow, a really tight claustrophobic fight with death barriers, basically, on top of that gondola? It still feels like across both series, fight locations can feel somewhat familiar, which doesn't lead to a lot of creativity when it comes to the bending applied. Like, could you imagine if Aang vs. Ozai just took place on a giant, rocky, open field rather than among the giant earth pillars? It wouldn't have nearly as much creativity applicable to it. You definitely need lower key fights like this to highlight the ones that are really special, but the really special, creatively blocked ones may be too few and too far between. I don't know, it's just something I've been thinking about lately. Don't damselify Jinora again just for Kai to save her, especially when you're gonna push the whole Jinora's a master thing later. At least make her put up a fight.
Take down those airships!
See what I mean? Boom, right there. These guys are way up in the sky, and it takes 2 benders to be a threat to them. That feels right in my head. Much more reasonable than just being able to hurl person-sized ice spears hundreds of feet into the sky. So you guys just keep rocks up your sleeves, or because you're definitely not shooting your rock gloves, or seemingly any part of them.
Everybody, hang on!
We see everyone bends their legs here as Bolin prepares to launch them, which is good. Gotta bend those knees. Seriously, Toph could have ended the whole mission right here if Sokka and Suki took that launch wrong.
Bring me those airships now! Achoo!
Is it spring? It might be, if we consider the equalist stuff took place in the winter, and season 2 at least took a few weeks to a couple months of in-show time to complete. It's very reasonably spring right now, which, as we all know, is when sky bison shed some of their fur, so this checks out. Why are these airbenders over here chilling with Naga? Hello? Big man over here is addressing you.
Now you do have a choice. We can relocate you somewhere safe, or you can come with me to the Northern Air Temple to live in peace and train as air nomads.
This is a nice little couple episode arc for Tenzin. He of course started out this journey in wanting to basically conscript the airbenders into his way of life and his teaching. But after seeing what these people have gone through, he sees that doing that, no matter how much less extreme his version was, is wrong. So he openly gives them the choice to join him or not. Very nice.
I want to go with you. Me too. Count me in.
Amon? Korra should be freaking out. She doesn't know that guy didn't get away.
This is only the beginning.
This is an interesting way to end an episode of Korra, honestly. It feels a lot like an Airbender ending. In Korra, with the show being much more serialized, the show tends to end on cliffhangers or some ominous feeling or something exciting to get you to come back for the next part of the story. In Airbender, the gang's adventures were much more contained. They usually got in and out of a situation within an episode or two, and the wrap-up was usually the positive feeling of another adventure well had or a lesson well learned. Exceptions to the rule, of course, but usually that was the case. Here, Korra goes for the Airbender approach. We had a mission, we completed it, and with new circumstances due to that success, we move on, not in any specific laid out direction due to the ending, but toward a larger, vaguer goal. One isn't any better than the other by any means, but I just find it interesting that Korra applied it here, rather than having some Zahir stinger or something at the end. How does In Harm's Way fare? I think it's a lot stronger than the last couple episodes, honestly. The last two felt a little meandering and confused. We had goals, but no real concrete way to act on them. But here, we have a mission, an enemy, and a bad attitude. Like I keep mentioning, Korra seems much more at home in her own skin this season, never acting too out of line, but still very strongly in line with her characterization. Fiery and reasonable, but still Korra, definitely. This feels a lot like where she probably should have been at the start of season 2, but at least we've gotten here now. Mako and Bolin breaking off from their family so quickly is a bit funny, but they do come back later, mostly just to give us an on-the-ground perspective for some stuff, so their inclusion makes sense. Jinora being able to spirit project whenever she wants is a bit much for me. That seems a little too familiar to the spirit world and stuff like that. It steps over the line that I think where it's cool. And remember that point I made about the fire running on walls thing? Anyway, I think our heroes are definitely the high point of this episode. The Zahir and Ming-Wan crew scene was cool, but brief. Not a whole lot going on there other than some cool visuals and Zuko getting flattened. But the Dai Li and the Earth Queen don't interest me very much. In Airbender, there was an intrigue because they were like, ooh, it's this shadowy government organization, acting without the say-so of the king. But they do have the say-so of the Earth Queen, and the Earth Queen is just this blustering idiot, and the Dai Li are just a function of her command, so that doesn't really enthrall me very much. But the Earth Queen being a blustering idiot does sort of play into some Zahir stuff from later. I still don't really care for her much as a character or a story tool. Anyway, this episode, I think it's pretty good. Not a ton to complain about, and a bunch of pretty interesting stuff going on. Patron shoutouts if you want to see the next 2 episodes of Overanalyzing Korra ahead of the YouTube releases. You can support me on Patreon for just a few bucks. Link, as always, is in the description below the video. Biggest shoutouts of all go to my top patrons. Blanco, who can respect the dead so much they can summon them briefly. Cameron Lowry, who was knighted by an Atlantean prince, so now water pressure doesn't affect him. The whole breathing thing is still a problem, though. Chief Conquiqui, who is definitely not Santa, or even a Santa-adjacent creature, but can still chimney warp on the 25th of December. Jean Cree, who arrived at school for every day of 7th grade by descending from the sky. Luna and Victor, who can listen into phone conversations by biting onto power lines, but they still tend not to due to the whole electricity thing. Lurfax1, who learned to drop their body temperature to 0 Kelvin so they can win at red light, green light. Matthew Lang, who has found a way to describe red so other people know that their red is the same. Scientists are baffled. Potato Scream, who can summon blue whales by playing saxophone at any seaside cliff. The former Meaning of Life, who is the perfect person to fight forest fires, as they are fireproof as long as they're in the process of planting trees. The 1am Party, whose smile is literally so bright it can blind their enemies. And Whitrow, also known as El Diablo de la Concha de Dodgeball. And of course, my other fuck you money patrons, a stack of pancakes, Donut, Kevin Bartlin, Liquor Cause I Know Her, Omega Fighter, Tater of Toss, and that one Turian. And my god overanalyzers, Two Boots Are Beat, Ang, Alan Garvin, Andrew Watchett, Oropataro, Axolotl Syndicate, Carlo Wren, Chandler Crump, Charles the Fartbender, Kobe Smith, Cosmic Newbie, Deathly Healer, Dr. Xerox, Dominic Saint, Dricker, Emma Not Emma, Aaron Grace, Fire Lizard 44, I'm a Match, Jason Gebhardt, Jackson, Jeremy Rubenstein, J. Kerr 4215, John Ajaka, John Warhammer, Justin Scott, Mac, Medium D Speaks, Michael Fellon, Mitchell Gobrecht, Nick, Nicholas Abbott, Peter Bayron, Pogger White, Revenge of the Beefsteak Tomatoes, Rocket Mist, Ryan Maxwell, Sandy Stormborn, Scoobert, Shane Antonacci, Silk Toast, Smarty Marty, Spicy Ketchup, Super Snipper, Totoro Boboros Musical Emporium, Von Cantspell, and some sort of bear face. Next up, enter Toph's family. Not Lynn, though. Well, also Lynn.